Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is made by fans for fans, and where the content is absolutely free. It is episode 69 of the Gersnet Podcast. We would encourage you to listen. Obviously, if you've heard us and you like what we're doing, get the word out there on social media and all the rest of it. Tell people that we're here. We would encourage you to subscribe as well. The podcast is live tonight. We're live and unrestricted and unrehearsed on the YouTube, but the pod will be available to download and stream on a variety of platforms from tomorrow if you're not listening tonight, and you can get it on Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher and Spotify. So we'll get right into it. A lot to get into this week's show. A big week for Rangers this week, and an even bigger one coming up. It's just coming thick and fast at the moment. So we'll have a wee look at today's game against Hearts, a fairly routine victory. Absolutely stuffed them without really getting out of second gear. We'll have a look back at a great night in Rotterdam, against Feyenoord on Thursday night. And a quick look at some of the stuff from the AGM as well, and Dave King announcing that he's stepping down. And also we'll have a quick preview of Wednesday night's game at Aberdeen, and of course the big one next week, the Betfred Cup final against the Mankey Mob at the shithole that is Hampden. We've only got one guest this week. Stephen Clifford was due to be on with us, but he failed a late fitness test and had to pull out. I hope he gets well soon. So we've got Graham tonight. How are you, Graham?
I'm pretty well, thanks very much.
I was cold today, wasn't it? Were you impressed with my skills getting the YouTube stream up and running? Have you seen that?
Excellent. You're learning.
I'm learning. Every day is a school day, as I say. So I'm quite chuffed. So how's your week been? What have you been up to?
My week's been pretty quiet. Leading up to Christmas, there's always work, so you don't get out much. You don't get out to play much. Thursday night was watching the Teddies.
Well, I had my wife was night shift on Thursday night, and my boy had his training, so it meant picking him up at 7:30, which gave me a conundrum. Do I watch the game and then leave to pick him up sort of halfway through the second half, or do I go down the route of recording it and watching it as live by avoiding the score? So I opted for the second. So my neighbours must have thought I was shouting at the Celtic game the other night, because I watched it between sort of 8 o'clock when the Celtic game was on, and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. We're a wee bit lucky in the first half, but we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, Ibrox today then, yeah?
No, I wasn't at Ibrox. I'm unfortunately I'm disabled and I don't get to as many matches as I'd like to.
Well, you wouldn't have missed much in terms of the weather today, to be honest with you, Graham. It was absolutely...
Oh, the cold would have done me.
Frozen, absolutely frozen. Pretty day in Glasgow though, I must admit. There was a lot of nice, took a few nice photographs today. I've stuck them up there on Twitter and got some good comments on them. But it was absolutely freezing. But regardless, let's get in about it. So yeah, Hearts today, Celtic had won up at Dingwall earlier on in the day. They'd won 4-1, had obviously added to they'd obviously got 3 points and also bumped up their goal difference a wee bit. So 1-5-0, very good in terms of getting in about that, helping the goal difference. In terms of the starting 11, Graham, Ryan Jack left out the side, Ojo taken out he started on Thursday night, Arfield reintroduced, and Aribo, who I was a wee bit surprised when I saw the team. I thought Arfield will be part of the front three, probably on the right. But it was Aribo that was up there, and Arfield, sat in his midfield berth today. What did you make of the starting 11 today?
I thought it was quite a strong lineup, to be honest with you. Without Ryan Jack, even without Ryan Jack, I thought it was pretty strong. It was interesting where he played Aribo, I think that's where you get the most value out of that laddie. I think he's much better, just 30 yards away from their box and heading towards it.
Yeah, and I must admit, I suppose it's a compliment to Ryan Jack, but I kind of get the fear now whenever he's not in the starting 11. And I understand why Gerrard sort of left him out. He's obviously got that knee issue that he has to manage. There's big games coming up this week, obviously up the road at Pittodrie on Wednesday night, and we're at Hampden next week for the Celtic game for the Betfred Cup final. So I suppose Gerrard has swollen his squad quite significantly through the summer. He's got quite a big squad to choose from. I suppose this is when he manages it. But I think Ryan Jack's been so influential this season that when I never seen him in the starting lineup, I did get a bit of the fear.
You worry a bit, right?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a worrier though. You know what I mean? I think as you reach middle age, that's what happens.
But I think the only surprise was Scott Arfield, because Scott's not been, you know, towards the end of last season he was quite dynamic, and he was producing late runs into the box, and he was supporting the strikers and stuff. But this season it's not really been happening for him, and I understand that he's got some family issues that he's been having to deal with recently, so that would explain his lack of form. Excuse me, either that or but I hear he's also doing more training than he should. You know, there's a limit to how much training you can do, because your recovery time extends further and further into the next few days. So maybe you should cut that out a bit and concentrate just on, you know, his normal training regime. But I thought, you know, and although we're going to come on to talk about it later, I thought when they brought him on against Feyenoord in Rotterdam on Thursday night, that he did a lot of stuff that Ojo just couldn't do. Their left back, Malaysia, I think his name is, was getting a lot of joy down that left-hand side. And when Scott Arfield came on, that boy was more or less null and void at that point, and was having to do a lot more defending. He wasn't adding a hell of a lot, and Arfield wasn't adding a hell of a lot in terms of the attack, but he was cutting off there, you know, where their threat was coming from. And then today, I thought he had a pretty decent game today. First 5-10 minutes, I think there was a few misplaced passes from just about everybody. But then, you know, from my position watching it on television, you could see that patches of the ground were extremely heavy. Ibrox was normally like a bowling green, but today it seemed that there was patches of ground that were quite heavy, and the ball was catching up on them. So when they were playing what they felt was the right weighted pass, it wasn't quite weighted enough, and it was slowing up in the turf. That was just about the first 5-10 minutes or so. But once they got to grips with it, the passing started to improve a bit halfway through the first half, I think.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Arfield, I think a lot of people need to remember that, you know, he was let away towards the end of the last season. He missed the last game of the season because he was away with Canada in the summer, and if he didn't get away for that, he wasn't going to get a break at all. I think he only got like a week and a half or 2 week break. So I think there's part of that. You know, I didn't know about his family issues, but that's maybe a reminder that, you know, football players are human beings, and, you know, sometimes there are outside influences, you know, affecting their performance. I think Jordan Campbell made a really good point in Athletic, you know, by saying that Arfield isn't having the best season, and he doesn't look himself. However, when he's not there, I think you do notice it. You know what I mean? He's sort of, it's hard to explain what it is he's doing, but I don't even know if it's just a reassuring presence. As you say, see, when he came on Thursday night, I felt instantly reassured. Ojo, again, I'm not going to go heavy on the boy, but there's times he does look like an academy player. His decision making is still very, very ropey. Sometimes his distribution's a bit shaky, and that's obviously why he's up here. He's obviously up here to learn how to deal with playing with a big club.
Yeah, he's up here to sand that down, level it out.
Yeah, you know, and make himself a better player. So I hear fans moaning about Ojo, but I sometimes think you have to remember, you know, he is only young, and
he's just a kid.
And he's up here to learn. But when Arfield came on Thursday night, definitely felt a wee bit more reassured. And I think you're right. I thought he played one of his better games today. Somebody in front of me in the Govan stand, he was sort of saying he thinks he's better in the middle of the park than he is further up. That's maybe a debate. I don't know, but I certainly think it was one of his better performances today. As for the overall performance, I genuinely got the feeling that Rangers didn't have to get out first gear today. I mean, Hearts really are.
Really poor.
Oh, they're in a terrible state. They're relegation fodder, in my opinion. You know, the big boy up front, Pizzo, I always struggle to say his name.
Yeah, Pizzo.
He's obviously a handful and can cause you problems. Stevie Naismith, as much as we're not fond of him anymore down Ibrox way, he's still a decent player that can cause you problems. But outside that, I'm really looking at the Hearts team thinking they seem in a bad way, and it'll be interesting to see who they appoint as a manager. But that's how it felt to me today, that Rangers didn't really have to get out of first gear, you know, and although they did.
Stephen Smith was talking during the halftime break, and he was saying, whatever Austin McPhee's been saying to them in the dressing rooms, he says he doesn't like it. This is Stephen Smith's words. He says, I don't like it when they're out early like that and they're all in those little cliques discussing what the manager's been telling them. And you could see, and he was alluding to the fact that they were kind of fractured as a team, and you could see it in their play. And I think Stevie Smith was actually spot on the money, to tell the truth. I think, they were in their little groups of 2 and 3 players talking about this, that, or the next thing while they were waiting for Rangers to come out at halftime. And they're probably debating whether or not the manager's correct or whatever. But they did look like a fractured team from start to finish.
I think there's been issues at Hearts for a while now, you know what I mean? And they look as if they don't get it sorted soon. They could be facing a relegation battle. But hey, that's not our issue. Getting back to Rangers. First goal, Alfredo Morelos again, just sort of bullied the boy out the road for the header. Worthwhile noting that I'm having a mind freeze here. Who's our left back again?
Borna Barisic. Another
assist for Borna. You know what I mean?
Great ball.
Yeah, and I mean he provided a similar one on Thursday night, which we'll talk about. But again, just a sign that he's coming on as a player.
Absolutely. I spoke on here a few months ago with Ross, and Ross was wondering what he would have to do to get back in the side and state a claim. And I was like, the guy's not done anything wrong. He's just adjusting to the way the game's played here. You'll see the best out of him in the European games, and of course, he started to get confidence by scoring at St Mirren and playing well in the European games. And now he looks like the player that we bought. He's the quality of delivery from the left-hand side between him and Ryan Kent. Ryan Kent, when the two of them are out there, and they're building up a nice partnership as well. It could come for either one of them. And then you've got James Tavernier, who's still overhitting a little bit at the moment. He's overhitting his crosses. But some of his crosses are getting back to the James Tavernier that we knew last year. Looking dangerous on both sides of the park. Yeah. The only thing we need is that position that Ojo's supposed to be, making his own. We need that tidied up a bit. But unfortunately, because Ojo's a young lad and he's going to be inconsistent, we're not going to get that from him. But he's got everything that he needs to be that type of player. It's just that he's a young lad and he's inconsistent at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the one fear I've got about the stuff that Tav and Barisic give us going forward is that they're leaving the door open sometimes at the back. You know what I mean? And I think that's the role now. Fullbacks are expected, to be overlapping, to go beyond the midfielders and the forwards and get to the byline and deliver crosses. It's a hard shift for them.
Yeah, they're meant to be overlapping or underlapping in the channel. Yeah,
and they're good at it. And I mean, I know Tav's having a sticky season. As he's not really hit the heights of previous years. But I mean, he's stats in terms of.
I've seen some stuff from Tav today that I thought, yes, captain, that's it. When we scored our 5th goal, he's ushering everybody back to the halfway line as quickly as possible to try and get another one. I want to see my captain doing that. That's a good sign for me. That's a good sign.
And he's still, as I said, he's still providing. His fair share of assists and all the rest of it. The second goal, Ryan Kent, again, we've spoken about him in previous weeks, when he first came back, got the injury, out for a few weeks, you start to worry, well, Christ, we've paid 7 million and he's not producing. I mean, he got the goal last week and again today, and again, he's starting to look like he's reaching that sort of level that he reached in the second half of last season.
That was a smashing goal. A great run from Joe Aribo, and of course, who other than Stephen Davis finds him, brings it down beautifully in the box, cuts inside, looks up, and there's Ryan. Easy goal. Beautiful goal, great goal.
Right, 2-0 at half time then, Graham. Come out, at that point I'm thinking if they get the third, start making changes. Big week coming up. Sure enough, Berra done it for us. Although again, you've got to give Tav the credit and Morelos the credit for being there, for panicking him into that decision to slide in and put it in his own net. Straight away, make the substitutions, get Morelos off, get Kent off, keep them good for next week or for Wednesday night. I wanted to talk about Greg Stewart because I remember Stephen Clifford had sort of spoke about him a few weeks back on the pod, saying that he felt because Arfield had been producing his best form that Greg Stewart sort of deserved a chance. And I have to say, I think Stephen's maybe onto something. There is an argument to say he's been quite unlucky that he's not played more games and got more minutes, because whenever he does come on, it does tend to produce. He's scored a few goals now for Rangers. Got 2 today, one of which was Rangers' 10,000th league goal. So congratulations to Greg for that, because that's a bit of a milestone. What about yourself? Do you think it's just because the Rangers are performing so well at the moment that there are a lot of guys who are sitting outside the starting 11 thinking, well, I'm being,
they're pushing for places, Colin.
Yeah, but they must feel hard done by a wee bit, though. They must feel unlucky, which is a good sign. You know what I mean? Because Rangers are performing at such a level that players are only making mistakes to let boys in, but it must be hard being in that position.
It must be, yeah. But then I don't know if you've seen the Jermaine Defoe interview on the Rangers TV website, and there's talk of that sort of stuff. Is there's always a competition between players to win the jersey, but Jermaine Defoe today was, as far as I'm concerned, that interview was outstanding, and it spoke volumes for what the attitude of the whole team is. It's about the team. And the fact that he's got a guy in front of him who's scoring goals for fun at the moment. When he gets his chances, he does as best as he can to score, at least when he comes on. And I think a lot of the Rangers players have got this attitude. I think it's something that Gerrard likes to work on. Their attitude towards the team rather than just themselves. Although, of course, if you're a player yourself, you're desperate to play. And I think there's a case for Greg Stewart to be playing in games against like some Motherwell and Hamilton, etc., and use them sparingly in any other competitions that we've got. There's no reason why he shouldn't get a game, because he's shown already that he's dangerous in and around the box on that left-hand side, or if anything's breaking, he's on it. And we're not so great at times when it comes to recycling that second ball, and he's good at it, so why not use him?
I mean, there's others like him as well. I mean, I think Katic as well must feel a wee bit hard done by at times. I think it's good that I've never seen the interview that you're talking about with Jermaine Defoe. However, I do think it's good that a manager can create that sort of environment where players just focus on the squad and the team and the job in hand rather than themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, as professionals, come 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon, if they're not named in the team, obviously they're going to be desperately disappointed and all the rest of it.
Sure.
But I think it's good that Gerrard's, at the moment, appears that he's managing to balance that, and manage it in terms of players are happy to bide their time. To me, a lot of that will be down to Gerrard having individual conversations with them through the week and saying, look, I know you're not playing now, but I need you to keep training hard because I'll need you at some point. And keeping that hunger and desire going. But I must admit, Stewart's one that I think has been a wee bit unlucky. Katic is the same. You just think, I don't think Katic has done anything wrong all season.
No, neither do I.
And it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get back in that side now.
I mean, I've never been. I'm not a great supporter of Connor Golson. However, at the moment, it's his jersey. However, at the same time as saying that, Katic would have scored all 3 of those headers. He's a great header of the ball. He's a huge threat at set pieces. And whenever we're in the opposition's box at those types of set pieces and Katic's anywhere near it, it's the keeper's having to make a save or it's in the back of the net.
It's funny you say that because me and my boy were talking about that today, and Big Keith that sits behind me. Well, actually, there was I think he got 3 in a row, corner kicks, Connor Golson went up and won the headers, and they all went over the bar or wide or whatever.
Yeah, his first one was the closest one, which just went past the post.
But I actually got the 3 of us talking, and I said, I don't think I've seen anybody win so many headers in the penalty box without scoring. And it's something he definitely needs to work on, because it's not even like when he's heading the ball, like he's underneath it. he's timing his jump well. He is meeting it with his forehead. It just seems to me he's not very good at directing it and putting it where he wants to put it. And that, I think you're right. That's something he needs to improve on. It'd be interesting to see what Katic would have done in the same situation. I think he would have scored more than Goldson manages to. So yeah, that's interesting.
Again, though, Katic is just a young lad, so he's got a lot of learning to do, especially when it comes to the defensive role. And sometimes sometimes he makes the wrong choice, or he goes tight to someone like Ekpiezu. And he shouldn't. He should just sit off him for a bit and let him bring it down, and then look for where the ball's going. Then, I think that was the last game that Nikola Katic played, right, against Hearts at Tynecastle.
Well, I can't think back. Chris, I can't remember yesterday.
I think so.
Honest, Graham. If you've gone back away to Tynecastle a few weeks ago, I'm sorry, my mind's gone. I used to be good at that stuff, but not anymore. My middle-aged sort of befuddlement has kicked in. There was another issue. I thought we would talk about Don Robertson's performance today, the referee. Now, obviously, the Hearts are in a bad position at the moment, and they're not a good team to watch. They're struggling. They're joint bottom with St Johnstone and Hamilton, I believe. So they're in a bad way. So you do, and they've got, as I say, big XPs up front. So you're expecting a physical battle. That's part and parcel of it. But some of the tackles today,
shocking.
I mean, really, shocking. Really
Over
bad.
The top of the ball studs up.
And some of them weren't even, they wasn't even booking them. It was just a wee talking to and then moving on. And, there really was, I think it was after 60, 70 minutes, you're thinking, how many more of these challenges are they going to get away with? Now, famously, Don Robertson was the referee who, when he gave a penalty to Ross County up at Dingwall against Celtic, he phoned Brendan Rodgers like a day later to apologise. And he looked like that type of referee to me today. He looked like somebody would phone up the Celtic manager and apologise for getting it wrong, because it was a shocking performance, I thought, from him.
I mean, he's not alone there. The vast majority of referees in Scotland are pretty poor, to be honest with you. What can you do about it? You can highlight it and say that these performances are poor and they're substandard for the league. But that's pretty much it. And they're to be fair, they're much of a muchness. The best one's probably Willie Colin, and he's dreadful. So, take your pick for a bad lot.
That pretty much sums it up, actually. If you're telling me that Willie Collins is our best referee, because I don't think I've seen a referee anywhere as bad as Willie Collins for guessing decisions. He just
absolutely.
He's got his back to things, and he just assumes what's happened and makes a decision based on that. But I genuinely thought some of the stuff,
some of the tackles today were ridiculous. Up with the arms and stuff like that. Goldson, I think that one way Goldson would have took him, a forearm smash in the face. That's a red card straight away. But
I thought the one in Davis was a bad one as well.
That was a terrible tackle.
Yeah, I thought it was a really, really bad tackle. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm up in the Govan rear, and I'm getting old, so my eyesight's not the best.
So sometimes,
so sometimes I see things that didn't really happen. But it looked a bad one.
Right. It was a terrible tackle.
And Davis isn't the type to hit the turf, I think. You know what I mean? He's not that type of player. He's a bit of a no-frills player. Stephen Davis just gets on with it. Quite an honest guy. He's the type of player that if he goes down, there's something wrong. You know what I mean? So yeah, I thought his performance was pretty poor today overall. The referee. One final point before we move on to the final game, because I'm trying to make it a bit quicker tonight, Graham, because there's so much to talk about. I did quite like it. When we started to get 3 and 4, you start to think, right, okay, if we get 7, we go top of the league. And I think it was the 5th, and it was Borna Barisic, grabbing the ball and running back and putting it on the spot. You're thinking 5 minutes to go, we're 5-0 up, and they're gone for it. They want those other 2 goals, they're at least wanting one more. And I must admit, it feels like a while, when you consider everything we've went through, the journey and through the leagues and all the rest of it. It's good to see that sort of desire and appetite back in the Rangers team again.
Yeah, with 5 minutes to go. Absolutely. I want to see desire for goals, and more goals.
Well, you know what it reminded me of a wee bit? I mean, obviously it's not the business end of the season, but remember I think it was 2003 when we had Dunfermline at the last game of the season and Celtic were at Kilmarnock. And it was essentially who got the most goals. You know what I mean? So even when Rangers went 3-1 up, 4-1 up, they were still like grabbing the ball, running back, right, we need to keep going. And to see that in the 85th minute of the day, we see, as you mentioned earlier on, Tav was the same. He was sort of shouting to the guys, right, come on, we can get that goal. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. You're sitting there thinking, you know what, these guys are up for it. They're up for this battle, and I don't care what they say across the road.
That's exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, they must be nervous about that because we're approaching the halfway point, and we don't look like we're blinking at the moment.
No, I tend to agree with you. I guess I think the big test will be on Wednesday night at Tawdry. I think that'll be. I think it'll be quite a tight game. I think Aberdeen, like Hearts, will kick everything above the grass. It just depends on how that's refereed. What do you do? Do you play Defoe in that one, or do you play Alfie?
I would say I think you've got to go.
That's the kind of game that they'll just want to send Alfie off.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think Morelos has turned the corner on that front, to be honest with you. I think he's had one, maybe two bookings this season. I think he's cuter. I think he's cleverer. I think essentially Steven Gerrard and his representatives have sat him down and said, well, the reason you're not getting a big money move this summer is because of your discipline. So unless you focus on that and fix that side of your game, you're not going to get that big move. Because to me, he obviously wants that big move. And I think he's done well. And I think Defoe as well.
I think he deserves that,
that offers a lot, in terms of calming Morelos down and coaching him and teaching him what to do. You know what I mean? I think he's made a big difference to Morelos' game since he's arrived. I don't think it's so much on the park. I think it's behind the scenes. I think it's at training. I think Defoe does a lot on that front. So overall, yeah, great day. 5-0, freezing. -5 at Tynecastle. So talking about the Feyenoord game now, Graham. As I said earlier on, I had a family commitment, so I was kind of running about on Thursday night, so I had to watch the game, try and avoid the score, and then watch it as live. I mean, in terms of overall performance, I thought we started not too bad the sort of first 10-15 minutes, and then Feyenoord slowly started to build up a wee head of steam and a bit of momentum, and then after about half an hour, it just felt like bang, we're in a game here. McGregor was having to make saves, last ditch tackles, all that kind of thing. It felt like we were really in a game, and then we went 1-0 down. And to be fair, I thought at half time we could count ourselves lucky to still be in the game at that stage. I
think that's a good reflection of what I was watching as well. First 10 minutes we looked okay, nice and settled. We moved the ball about quite well, and then Feyenoord they'd come out the traps a wee bit. I don't know, a wee bit stop-start, and then they clicked for a good 25-30 minutes in that first half. But towards the end of the first half, we started to get a grip on it again. And that 25-30 minute period where they were dominating, we could have been a couple of goals down. So we were quite lucky to be going in just one behind. What was encouraging for me was the last 5-10 minutes of that first half. We started to get back on the ball again and start to move it about a bit. And I was thinking, well, Stevie, it's time for you to do your magic now, son. Once these get in and get their cup of tea. And that's just exactly what happened.
Well, I don't know what he put in their tea, but it worked. But my biggest fear about the game on Thursday, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Porto are the best, or perceived as the best team in the group. Quarter finalists of the Champions League last season. And we went over there and we actually probably should have won that game that night. I think we had enough chances to win it. We were really, really unlucky. But one thing that was different from this game...
I think we surprised Porto, to be honest with you. I think they were expecting us to be a lot more physical, and we weren't. The only player that's really that physical is Alfredo.
Yeah. But I also think another thing is, see the game at Porto, their fans didn't turn up. You know, the stadium was half empty. There wasn't much of an atmosphere. So from an away team playing away in Europe, straight away, that gives you a bit of confidence. You think, right, you know what? These guys haven't turned up for this. That was different on Thursday night. A very, very partisan atmosphere, so to speak. You know, real noise. And I mean, Feyenoord supporters are well known for getting behind their team. And so it was quite a hostile atmosphere. And when Feyenoord started to, you know, build up that head of steam that we were talking about earlier on, that's what I started to fear, because the noise in the stadium started to increase, you know, and it just felt like this tidal wave of, you know, emotion and stuff coming towards you, and you're thinking, oh, how are the players going to handle this? So that's what impressed me about the second half, is the fact that they did handle it, you know, despite the fact,
I thought they grew a bit. Is that?
Yeah. Despite the fact that we're playing in a very hostile environment, huge atmosphere. They got the goal, first shot on target, Morelos, header, bang, one each, and we're back in the game. Now at that point I'm thinking, got away with one here, you know, we're back in the game. And then they go 2-1 up. I mean, the second goal was absolutely top drawer. But the way they handled that environment and that atmosphere, you know, the character that they've had to show, because I think it's difficult to play in atmospheres like that. If you're getting the ball and you've got 40,000 folk telling you you're shite or whatever, and they want you, you know, they're trying to put you off your game, it's very, very difficult, I think, to play through that. And I think Porto didn't have that, but we dealt with it well, and not only got back in the game, but took the lead.
Yeah, we took the lead. See, I think that the pace that Feyenoord had set for themselves was unsustainable. And when it came to the second half, you know how you have to play for X amount of minutes in a game and then take a 10-minute breather, move the ball around and look for positions instead of forcing the game. But then when you're forcing the game at that pace, you can't do that for 90 minutes. You end up absolutely jiggered. So I think we scored just at the right time, as Dick would say. Remember what Dick used to say, I think we scored at the right time.
First half, not so good. Second half, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked Dick, I must admit. I liked Advocat when he was at Rangers. I thought that 99-2000 team was arguably the best team I've seen at Ibrox. But come back to Feyenoord.
By Alfie, but the second goal for it by Alfie, the ball in for Borna, and then just, you know, there's no pace on that ball, and Alfie's got to generate the pace and put it into the far corner. What a goal that is, mate! That's Derek Johnston type of goal for a header.
I'll tell you this much: every single one of my neighbours, who are all fairly new because I've only moved here recently, they knew. They knew Rangers had scored because the roar. And my boy knew the score. He'd been at his training, so he got in the car when I was picking him up, and I says, "Look, I don't know the score, so shut up. Don't say anything if you know." And he's like, "Well, I know the score." And I was like, "Well, just shut up." So he didn't want to watch it because he knew the score. So he sat in his room. So he knew that I saw the goal, and my daughter came running down the stair like, "Why are you shouting at the telly?" You know what I mean?
What's wrong with you?
I was going to off my nut, honestly, proper limbs. And it was only me in the living room, but fuck it. You know what I mean? It was a great moment. But to go for that, and we've spoken about this before, Graham, as well on the pod, about the sort of game management side. And I do think Rangers are improving on it, but every now and again there's a wee blip that just shows you that they're not quite there. And going by Gerrard's reaction to Feyenoord equalising, you know, I think he feels it's still an issue as well. It was just so frustrating to turn the game around like that, and then within 2 or 3 minutes to be pulled back into it was really frustrating, I thought. Yeah,
well, it's one of those ones. Big Helander gets his feet caught in the turf and topples over. But the one for me that's crucial is the tackle by Connor Golson. You know, if he rattles that ball's going out the park. He's going to kick it off the player. But he doesn't. He just, you know, feathers it. And of course, that puts it into the guy's path properly instead of hitting it, smashing it off him. I don't know whether I'm just being harsh on Connor Golson, but that's what I think he should have done. If you can't get a tackle on the man, make sure you hit the ball off him.
It just seemed a bit such an avoidable goal, if you know what I mean. It just seemed to come for nothing, and the boy was through. And don't get me wrong, he done well. You know, if I'd done that at the fives, I'd be looking for it.
He took his goal well, boy.
He took it well, but you know, Hollander ends up doing his face in the turf, and it just felt avoidable. And Gerrard's reaction, I think, told you what he thought of it. I think he thought it was avoidable as well, and it was really frustrating. I mean, after the pasting we took in the first half, to find ourselves 2-1 up, and going through at that point, we're through if we win the game. For it to go the other way and then to lose that lead so quickly, I found quite frustrating. But still, I think overall 2 each. If you'd offered me that at the start of the game, I think if you'd offered me that, if you'd offered me 2 each after half an hour, I'd have bitten your hand off. But I think just the way it came about, it felt a wee bit frustrating. There was an incident with Morelos, Graham, the penalty. What did you think of that?
That's a penalty. That's a shadow of a doubt. Well, what else can you say about it? The guy's, I think Morelos' wife's pregnant. He'll need to check if he's pregnant or not.
I know. Aye. They'll need to get the old the blue kit done. Aye, that's it. Again, I mean, we moan about Scottish referees, but that just seemed blatant.
Bit of a homer, that referee.
Yeah, aye. But it seemed to me like an absolute blatant penalty kick that we didn't get. But I think overall, as I said, if you'd offered me a draw after half an hour, I don't know what
I don't know what the referee's saying here. Maybe he sees it as Alfredo backing into the guy.
Well, he does. He does back into him, but you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to back into players.
Aye, but,
you know what I mean? What you're not allowed to do is jump on their back and flatten them.
That's a penalty.
But I mean, it is what it is. And we go into the final game. It's all in our own hands now. We're top of the group, which is an incredible achievement. I mean, if we go on to win that group, when you consider we were the 4th seed, that is a huge achievement and one that deserves a lot of credit. If we beat Young Boys, that's us. We're home and hosed.
If we beat Young Boys, are we top of the group? I think we are, aren't we?
We're top of the group just now.
Yeah, we're top of the group at the moment. But if we beat Young Boys, we stay top of the group.
Yeah, we win. That's it. We win the group.
Does that mean that we would miss the Champions League teams that come in? So we'd get like a second place team?
It certainly helps to win the group. I know that much. I don't know the permutations. I struggle keeping up with all the different tournaments and honest to God, the draw for the Euros yesterday, I was sitting there watching it like, I need a calculator and a bloody tape measure here to understand who's playing who. But it's obviously, it certainly helps if you finish top of your group. I think you're seeded and it helps in terms of who you get in the next round. Yeah. So, but I mean, we can't take it for granted that we're going to beat them. But again, if you'd offered us now, remember we started this on day one of this tournament. We started this tournament in July. If anyone had offered us at that point, you're going to qualify for the group stage, and on match day 6, if you win against Young Boys, you're going to win the group. You'd have bitten their hands off. You'd have said, "Can have that." Yes, thank you very much.
Shadow of a doubt. Absolutely. Give me that. I'll take that bet.
Okay. Now, there was one more issue, again, speaking about Jordan. He sort of tweeted about it through the week. He was at the game. Took a bit of stick from some of the Rangers supporters. The old singing scenario, and there's now talk of a potential stadium ban. Now, Graham, this just doesn't seem to go away. I mean, I thought we'd maybe learned our lesson, after the 2 previous incidents with the partial closures.
Well, I didn't know anything about any of this until the following day. The BBC were running with a different story on the night, which was that there was a possible infringement with Rangers fans setting off flares before the match. And that was what the BBC was running with. But then after figuring it out, going on forums and stuff like that, you see this tweet from Jordan Campbell and you're saying to yourself, what the heck's going on here? There's 2 or 3 different stories about possible sanctions against Rangers, for different reasons. And it kind of felt to me a little bit orchestrated, if you know what I mean. Feels a bit on the orchestrated side, a bit in the, pushing for it.
Well, it's kind of felt like that for a while. I think Fair, who always seem to turn up at Ibrox, I think when you look at the people behind that organisation, and what club they support, I don't think it's unfair to say that they are not coming into this as impartial at all. However, it was within the first 5 or 10 minutes that I heard one song getting belted out, and straight away I was like, if that gets picked up, we could be in trouble.
Right.
Now, no, I've seen all sorts of people refer to Jordan as a grass and all the rest of it. See, at the end of the day, if we know, as supporters, if we know that it's a certain type of behaviour, whether it be songs or banners or whatever, could lead to a stadium ban, why would you do it? Why would you get involved in that?
I don't know. I don't know if what you're saying is true. I'm going to have to accept your word for it. I never heard anything. I never heard anything at half time either when Sweet Caroline was getting sung. Not from the television footage anyway. However, if it's being reported by people, and this is the odd part, right? There are people in the forums across all the Rangers forums and media saying that they didn't hear anything and they were in this section, and then other people saying, well, I heard this and I was in that section. It seems to be a case of some people heard stuff and other people didn't, depending on where you were on the ground. So I don't know if it was actually sung or not. But if there is something being sung, then it needs to stop. It's that simple. Because UEFA's already closed half a stand on us. So we need to stop that.
Well, that's what I don't understand. You know what I mean? My biggest fear is that it doesn't come for this game. You know, the young boys game will be fine and it'll be, you know, the stadium will be full and all the rest of it. But then we qualify and we get a proper big tie. Because there's some big teams, there's some sort of teams that should be in the Champions League that, you know, have had a bad season or whatever and are now currently plying their trade in the Europa League. So we get a huge game against, say, Man United. Now, I know they're not playing particularly well.
Well, never mind that. It's even worse than that. Imagine we get a game in the quarterfinals or something against Celtic and the Ibrox is a home game against Celtic.
You know, you get a huge, you get a proper big name coming in the knockout stages of the tournament and they close Ibrox. You would be, as a supporter who's done nothing wrong, you would be absolutely you'd be raging at the thought that you were being denied a really big night because some people seem to value these songs more than they value the well-being of the club. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the argument that, you know, people make too big a deal about it. I do think they make too big a deal about it. Songs are songs.
Thought it was strange, Colin, that it went from flares being let off to then being about sectarian singing, right? The story changed almost within 24 hours. Now, on the first count, when it was supposedly flares, I was like, well, hold on a second. Legia Warsaw came to Ibrox and the game had to be stopped for 5 minutes. Yeah. People were treated for injuries, this, that, and the next thing. And there's been no repercussions from UEFA on that. So surely the BBC at 6 o'clock shouldn't be calling for, you know, the stadium to be closed for the next Rangers match in the campaign. That seems to be odd. Seems to be an odd call.
Then you find
out that Jordan Campbell's written a tweet on the evening later on, and there's apparently more to it, or there's a separate incident or whatever. And then the newspapers pick on that, and that's what they're arguing. That just feels a bit odd.
And don't get me wrong, like I think Rangers supporters get more scrutiny than any other support, and more than they deserve. I mean, we're not perfect, and I accept that. You know, I've always accepted that there's, you know, an element within the support that don't do us any favours. However, I think the level of scrutiny is off the scale. But because of that scrutiny being off the scale, surely that's when you think, right, well, we need to box clever here. We need to watch what we're singing. We need to watch what we're putting on banners. We need to watch everything that we're doing, because if we so much as make one wee reference that can be judged as sectarian or anything like that, they are going to hammer us. So,
I mean, anything I say about this at the moment, Colin's sheer conjecture, right? Because I wasn't there. And B, I don't really trust any of the sources. I certainly don't trust the BBC.
No, I don't blame you on that front. But that's what I mean.
I can have an opinion on sectarian singing at any football match. It shouldn't be happening, especially when it's just football clubs. There should be none of that stuff. And if it's going to damage a football club, it should stop immediately.
Well, and also, I mean, one, it can damage the club, but two, it seems to me that the ground is not even in terms of reporting these kind of things. I mean, I saw that the Ren fans who were in Glasgow on Thursday evening were attacked, and the Sun is blaming PSG fans for it. So that's what we're up against. You know what I mean? We're inventing a PSG supporters club being based in Glasgow somewhere. You know what I mean? Obviously, it wasn't the PSG fans. Why are PSG fans going to come over to Glasgow to mug Ren fans when they're playing against Celtic? You know what I mean? But that's a level of where the reporting of these incidents are. And I think Rangers are up against it a wee bit on that front. So that's surely when we need to be really clever and really wise up in terms of what we're doing. It might not be fair. I get that. I hear fans moaning about it all the time, and they're right to moan about it. You know, they're saying they get to do this, they get to do that, and we get hammered all the time. I get that. That's frustrating. But that's the lay of the land at the moment, and that's what we need to navigate. And we need to navigate it in a way that the club doesn't get fined.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Colin.
A stadium closure.
The trouble for me is this, right? If there's one or two people in a crowd who are singing, a crowd of 25,000, and everybody else tells them to shut up, and it stops more or less immediately because they've been embarrassed about it. And is that something that you would want to close a stadium for?
But it's different. I mean, I know people talk about self-policing and all the rest of it, but you know, are you going to challenge somebody singing these songs? I mean, I seen someone getting into a bit of a scrap when he sort of asked somebody to calm down because he'd been singing one of these songs and somebody challenged him, right? So they two started having a bit of a thing, and the guy that had been singing the song was getting really agitated and really angry, and it looked like it could get a bit off the scale. And a guy that sits behind me intervened and just said, "Look, mate, calm down a wee bit." And then he got it. He started getting the abuse. He started getting, well, what's it got to do with you? So the whole self-policing thing, as much as I understand why clubs and all the rest of it go down that road and say they encourage fans to do it, but I perfectly understand why fans don't want to get involved. I think, well, that guy could be an absolute nutter. You know, I could say, "Excuse me, mate, do you mind no singing that?" And he'll turn around and punch my lights out. You know what I mean? So I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult. I think supporters clubs could do a lot more. I think they could, you know, set out, you know, rules and regulations and say, "Look, guys, if we get caught doing this, we're in trouble. We'll take tickets off you," or whatever. But there has to be some way of managing it, because I dread the day that they close Ibrox for a big European game. I think that would just be horrific. It gives me the fear thinking about it. You know what I mean? The thought that there would be a big European team in town and we couldn't go and watch them.
We're what, a week away from playing Young Boys at home, so that's not this Thursday, but next Thursday, right? It's the Thursday after Cup final. So we should know by, I would imagine, Friday, Saturday, whether there's going to be any action or whatever, and which games that it'll be subjected to.
Well, I mean, hopefully nothing will come of it.
It doesn't help that the mainstream media in this country got the bit between their teeth and want to use whatever leverage that they've got.
I mean, I don't think, as I said before, I don't think it's a level playing field when it comes to the media in this country and Rangers. But we'll see what comes of it. But I just find it frustrating because it's so avoidable. But hey ho. Anyway, that's covered Feyenoord now. So the AGM last week, I think the main thing to talk about it is the announcement from Dave King that he's stepping down. So I just thought we'd have a wee discussion about what we thought in terms of what's his legacy, what's his time in charge been like. I mean, I don't know about you, Graham, but I'm automatically suspicious of people with money, and I think David Murray's got a lot to do with that. You know how it all ended with him, and then you've got, you know, Charles Green and Craig White and all that. You know, I am now uber suspicious of people with that level of money and that level of power and all the rest of it. So,
I mean, Rangers after our troubles, after the stuff that we've been through, the Rangers fans are extra vigilant about this stuff. So we want to vet everybody. Yeah,
you know that's what it's a case. It's once bitten, twice shy. I think, you know what I mean. And But I would have to. I mean, I've not agreed with everything that Dave King's done. I don't think he's handled the Sports Direct thing too well. There's been other wee things that he said in the paper that I've kind of thought, was there really any need to say that? That said, we were getting trampled over so much at certain times over the last few years that maybe he's just thought, no, it's time we started answering back. I mean, in terms of his legacy, how do you view Dave King?
How do I view Dave King? Well, as far as Murray's concerned, I was suspicious of Murray when Dave King lost his 25 million because Dave King put that money into the club and then Murray allowed the share prices to fall, so which meant that Dave lost pretty much all his money at the time. So I had a bad taste in my mouth about that. At the time, I didn't like it. And I told everybody and all my friends and family and whatnot, I think there's something going on here. Obviously, I couldn't put my finger on it and tell you exactly what it was, but I knew that Murray was up to no good. And then the rest of the stuff that follows, and your Craig White and your Charles Green, etc., and they had to be removed. And, I thought Dave King was a bit reticent at first. I mean, he was still involved in the club. He was on that board and he didn't really do anything until I was almost forced into it. If you know what I mean, it felt like he had been forced into a corner and there was nothing else he could do but just, take over get these people out and take over the club and make sure it was being run properly. So my appreciation of Dave King is that he was a reluctant captain, but took the job on and more or less, other than the Sports Direct issues that were the legacy issues and still going on, I think he steadied the ship pretty well, to be honest with you. And I think that it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse for us. It could have been a lot more messy as far as litigation is concerned. And, the real low point for me was when Mike Ashley tried to have him thrown in jail for speaking about the contracts and stuff. But he weathered that storm, and a lot of it he's taken it on his own shoulders, even though, he's automatically associated with Rangers and everything that happens to Dave King's automatically associated with Rangers. He's took a lot of the flack and he's took a lot of the fire. And other people have been allowed to work underneath him quietly. I'm not quite sure what the story is with investment. Maybe it's because investors, maybe it's because, as he says, that he wants to stand down and concentrate on his businesses in South Africa, or maybe it's because there's investment coming in and they want people who are on the ground to be making the decisions rather than having to run anything past a chairman that's essentially absent.
Yeah, I probably agree with
of him is that he's come in and he's done a very good job at stabling the ship. We're a far better place now than we were when White and Green were involved and Ashley was involved. They're all gone now, and the club's slowly getting back to where it should be.
I mean, Will Ashley still sort of loitering about into with the Sports Direct thing, but I know what you mean.
He's no longer a shareholder at Ibrox. That's what I'm talking about.
It's. I think you've pretty summed up my feelings on it as well. I mean, he had that battle with the control panel. He's I mean, a lot of Celtic fans were sort of laughing through the week saying, 5 years in charge, no trophies and all the rest of it. But I think King was fighting other battles, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone made a good point through the week that they showed you the turnover that Rangers were producing.
The stadium facilities, the training facilities, the club itself. I mean, there's a lot of good work being going on there.
Yeah. Well, like 5 years ago at his first AGM, when they announced the turnover and all the rest of it, it was a shocking amount, and that's risen, to such a level. I can't quite remember the figures, but I think someone said that the revenue was as low as 22 million at one point when he was involved. And that's obviously, he's increased that one by one. He's went through it all. As you say, he's looked at the infrastructure. The stadium has been neglected for a long, long time. You're seeing stuff there. Lots of stuff going on at the training facility as well. And you're just seeing wee things that the stuff that had obviously been getting ignored, not just under Craig White, I mean, under David Murray. I mean, it was obvious for a while that David Murray had stopped bothering in terms of, around the maintenance of Ibrox Park, because the toilets in the Govan Weir just are a disgrace, you know what I mean? But there are wee signs that you can see things starting to pick up. But it was obvious for a while that David Murray had said that's one thing we're not going to bother with anymore. So he's had to pick up that. He's had to pick up the stuff that was neglected for a few years before he arrived. He's had to have umpteen battles with outside sort of forces to try and, you know, the Sports Direct thing. He's also had to deal with the BBC. You know, that's been an ongoing thing, having to deal with them. He made an interesting comment about the HMRC stuff as well. I think he sort of said that the club wouldn't be in a position to do anything, but he himself might consider it because obviously he was a shareholder in the old co and he's lost a lot of money. You know, so he's had to. I don't know if Dave King's time in charge was necessarily about the football side of it. It was about steadying the business side of it and getting us back on a level footing. Now, again,
the football side's starting to steady as well, though now.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it was under his regime that Steven Gerrard arrived. Now, as I said earlier, I'm just naturally suspicious of people with that level of wealth and all the rest of it. But I'll cut David King some slack. I think he's done a very good job since he's been in charge of Rangers. He's leaving us in a better state, a far better state than what we were in when he found us, when he arrived. And you know what? There's every chance he'll be walking when you know, at the end of the season. We'll have a league title. You know, I mean, this time last season we were pretty much out the title. Previous seasons before that, nowhere near the title. You know, and we're fighting for it this year. So that shows that, as you say, the football side's improving as well. So yeah, I think he goes with most supporters' thanks, and I think a lot of us realise that it wasn't just all about winning trophies on the park for David King. It was about fixing the infrastructure, and I don't just
making
mean
sure that Rangers was still existing.
Yeah, it's still here, and balancing the books, getting everything sorted. Obviously, that's not quite happening yet, but I think the long-term plan is that'll come. I think the retail side, once that's sorted, that's another revenue. You know, we're obviously getting extra revenue with the group stages of the European football for the last 2 years. So yeah, he goes with my thanks. I think he's done a decent job, but he's rich, so I'm always going to be suspicious of him. And that's just the way it is. Right, conscious of time, Graham, we're coming up to the sort of last 5 minutes. So just a wee quick chat about the 2 games coming up. Quick one on Aberdeen game. Pittodrie, always difficult. I think in recent years it's either been a draw or, you know, we've had the odd defeat up there. But we've also had some decent wins. Miners gone up there and winning 3-0. I think Kenny Miller got a couple that day. Obviously, we had a 4-2 game with Jermaine Defoe scored in the last minute.
Yep.
How do you see it going on Wednesday?
Aberdeen will be their stuffy self, but you know they're not playing particularly well at the moment. They were fortunate to win at the weekend. I felt they were fortunate to get a break of the ball. I mean, it was a good goal. Quinn scored. Is that what you call him now, Quinn? It was a decent enough goal, but other than that, it'll be tough, stuffy, and it'll be an odd goal. Either a 1-0 or a 2-1. I don't know if Cosgrove's playing, they might end up with 10 men. I doubt it though, but I'm a bit worried about picking up bookings and suspensions and stuff in that game more than anything. But if we start bright enough, Aberdeen will blow them away.
I think we've got every reason to go up there and be optimistic. I mean, I know it's always a sort of a treacherous place to go. Obviously, there's no love lost between the two. Yeah, there's no love lost between the two clubs. They always, no matter how shite a team they have at any particular time in their history, they always up it against us. You know, that makes their season. So yeah, you go up there with a sense of trepidation, but I think in terms of, you know, Rangers teams that went up there in recent years, we've got more reasons than for a few years now to be positive about it and think, you know what, we can go up there and get a result, and that would really set us up for Sunday. You know, if we went up to Aberdeen and got a victory, and then set us up for the big one next Sunday, the League Cup final.
Looking for no injuries and no suspensions and red cards and stuff. That's what I'm looking for. And I think it'll be a tight win. I mean, it'd be nice to go up there. They're due a hammer enough at us, to be honest with you. Although we gave them one at Ibrox. They're due another one. They're due a proper hammer at home.
And what about next week, Graham? How are you feeling about that? The big one. Betfred Cup final, Rangers Celtic.
If we play like anything like what we did at Ibrox, then that's a foregone conclusion as far as I'm concerned. But if we play the way we can play, and Ryan Kent's on fire, then they're in for a terrible afternoon of it. It could be, because their defence is rotten, by the way. I think it could be 2-3-0. But then they're always dangerous.
That's an optimistic prediction, that 2-3.
They are due a spanking off at us. Same as Aberdeen away from home. Aberdeen away from home and Celtic anywhere are due a good spanking off us.
It's I mean,
hopefully one of these days it'll all come together and it'll happen.
It'll happen. I kind of look next week as a bit of a free hit for Rangers. I think all the pressure's on Celtic.
It is, aye. All the pressure what I mean? So Celtic, you're right. That's why I think if we play it the right way and we play expansive attacking football on the break or whatever, then we could score a fair few goals against them.
It's I'll take a 1-0. You know what I mean? I think we have to be wary that,
I take a chance of 5 goal.
I'd take any goal, but I mean, in terms of stuffing them, I would obviously take it, but I'm not sure that'll happen. But I think there's a real chance that they'll feel all the pressure, because they've won 9 out of the last 9 trophies. The last team to stop them winning a trophy was Rangers. It was us when we beat them in the Scottish Cup semi-final in 2016. So I think we can go there really optimistic. I'm still waiting on confirmation for a ticket, so there's all that to go away, as well as the usual nerves leading up to a cup final. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm desperate for us to win.
Well, I won't be there, but my brother will be there. So,
well, I might not be there either.
Minute updates. Tell the minute updates. Even though I'll be watching it, I'll be getting minute updates. I think there's one reason why I think we'll do it, and here's why. Right, I think there's an omen in there that is linked to the Gersnet podcast. Right, so bear with me. So in 1970, Rangers had was
went
a Gersnet podcast on in 1970.
Aye, well, you were kicking about then, Graham. So
I was kicking about as well. You're right.
In 1970, Rangers had went 4 or 5 years without winning a trophy, which is similar to us at the moment. And we met Celtic in the League Cup final, and a 16-year-old Derek Johnson famously scored the winner. He got selected for the game, started the game. Cross came in, famously got between Jim Craig and Billy McNeil and headed in, and Rangers ended their trophy drought. And that was in 1970. And next week is episode 70 of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast. So there you are. So it's fucking happening.
That's a spurious claim, but we'll take it.
It's happening. The stars have aligned. It's all about the number 70. 1970 and episode 70. So there you are. So that's
Colin, anyway.
See when we win it next week, you can come back and thank me. And see when it's a header, an Alfie header when he's got between two Celtic defenders and put it in the. He'll score at the same end as well. He'll score at the Rangers end. You heard it here first. Alfie header 1-0, and it's the 1970 connection. It's a 70 connection. But anyway, I think on that note, it's as good a note as any, I suppose, to call it quits. So that's all for this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent podcast made by fans for fans, where the content is free. If you're wanting to enjoy the victory next week in the Betfred Cup final, if we win it, we will have a cup final special show next week. Ross is hosting that. It could be the first episode of the pod yet where we're all drunk. We're all absolutely steaming out our face, because it'll be a good night if we win. So get listening to that. In the meantime, get yourself onto Gersnet and the forums. There's articles and all that on there. Some great stuff on there at www.gersnet.co.uk. And until next week, bye for now.